Today, I stand before you not only as a young woman in line for our country's future, but as someone who believes deeply in the power of connection between people, between generations, and between hearts. I want to begin by thanking you all for joining us this evening for a moment of shared reflection, inspiration, and joy. When I hear the phrase "play me again," I see more than just repetition. I see the opportunity to revisit our hopes, to replay our commitments, and to invite a new generation to join us in a fresh chapter of service and creativity. My sister Sofia and I have grown up in a world where traditions anchor us, yet innovation guides us, and so we embrace both. To my sister, dear Sofia, thank you for walking this path beside me, for sharing laughter and challenge, for reminding me that together we are stronger. And to you all, thank you for placing your trust in us, for believing in what the future can hold. Serving Spain is a privilege I carry in my heart each day. I believe that our greatest resource lies in our people, young and old, from every corner of our country, bringing their dreams, their voices, their talents. My hope is that we replay the story of what is possible: responsible leadership, compassion, creativity, and a steadfast commitment to one another. Let us remember that the music of progress is composed not by a single note, but by many voices in harmony. Let us press play again and again on our best values: effort, solidarity, integrity, so that they resound in everything we do from an early age. I have understood that service is not just a responsibility tied to a title. It is a calling that lives deep within the heart. It is about showing up, not only when it is easy or applause awaits, but also in moments of quiet work, when few are looking, yet the impact matters greatly. This is what I have learned over time, that being in a position of responsibility requires commitment, presence, and courage. It is about giving oneself entirely, without counting the cost, and knowing that the purpose is so much bigger than any one person. I have been raised with the values of dedication and duty. These are not mere words, but principles that guide my every step. I am aware that the role I will one day inherit, it is not simply a historical position, but a living commitment to those who look to us for integrity, for stability, for hope. And so, each day, I seek to prepare myself not just through study and tradition, but through listening to the voices of the young, the elderly, the hard-working people who represent the soul of our nation. When we speak of responsibility, it is easy to imagine it as a weight, something heavy, perhaps even confining, but I see it instead as a purpose. The responsibility I feel is one that inspires me, that fuels my desire to learn, to explore, and to be better than I was yesterday. I want to carry forward a legacy of dedication, a legacy where service is not ceremonial, but real, heartfelt, and active. Because true service means showing up even when no one asks, standing steady in the midst of change, and remembering that our duty is towards each person who places their trust in us. In this age of transformation, where the world feels both closer and more divided, responsibility means bridging what seems impossible to cross. It means finding strength in unity. It means honoring the past while building a future that resonates with the dreams of today's youth. I feel deeply that my generation must take part in shaping that future, not by waiting for someone else to act, but by stepping forward, driven by values that endure even when circumstances change around us. Our country has always been rooted in a profound sense of identity, one that celebrates diversity, resilience, and creativity. To serve means embracing all of this. It means seeing every challenge as a chance to grow, every setback as a chance to learn, and every success as a reminder of collective effort. As I take each step forward, I do so with humility, knowing how much there still is to learn. I want to serve not as someone distant or unreachable, but as someone who understands, who listens, and who cares. That kind of service, grounded in humanity and empathy, is what I believe can truly make a difference. There is a phrase I carry with me often: to lead is to serve, and to serve is to give time, to give patience, to give all the energy and heart we have, especially to those who need it most. My hope is to always be worthy of that task. Every time I meet someone, whether in a school, a town square, or an event, I am reminded that responsibility is not a burden I carry alone. It is shared with every person who works for the good of others, every young person who believes they can make a change, every elder who holds the wisdom of time. That shared spirit is what strengthens us. In the years to come, I know the path before me will be full of challenges, of questions, of moments where I will be called to rise. I welcome that. I am learning, I am growing, and I am committed to putting service at the center of my life. My dedication will not just be defined in formal moments, but in everyday choices to act with honesty, kindness, and courage. Responsibility means staying true to the ideals that define us, not because it is expected, but because it is right. It is about recognizing each person's dignity, giving voice to those unheard, and standing firm in the face of uncertainty. It is about taking care of what has been entrusted to us, so that we may pass it on stronger to those who come after. And this responsibility does not rest in one pair of hands alone. It lives within families, within communities, within every corner of our nation. Together we hold its weight, and together we shape its meaning. As I look ahead, I carry not only the lessons taught to me, but the hopes shared with me by so many, hopes of a country united, a people inspired, and a future bright with possibility. I promise to honor those hopes, to serve with all I am, and to dedicate my life to the good of all, because that is the true meaning of responsibility. When I think about what shapes us most deeply, I always return to one simple idea: we are not solitary threads, but part of a much larger weave, a tapestry woven carefully over time, from one generation to the next. The story of family, of tradition, is not simply a reminder of where we come from, but a beacon that guides us into the future. And I feel that profoundly, not only in my position, but in my heart as a daughter, as a sister, and as someone who has grown up surrounded by the values and history that define us. In my life, the connection between past and present is more than symbolic. It is alive in the stories I have heard since childhood, in the footsteps I follow, and in the responsibilities I inherit, not as obligations, but as threads of continuity. I have learned that tradition is not something to be preserved in silence or cold museum halls. It is something that breathes through us, shapes us, and grows with us. My family has always taught me that we are not here to simply exist within our roles, but to bring purpose and warmth to them. Whether through service or everyday interactions, there is a legacy that is greater than any individual, one that speaks to steadfastness, respect, and unity. I feel privileged to have seen this legacy not just in history books, but in the daily lives of those closest to me. And when I think of connection, I especially think of my sister. Sofia and I have grown together, learned together, and shared countless moments that have taught me the value of companionship within responsibility. We are, in many ways, each other's mirrors, reminding one another that while our paths may be unique, what we carry within us is shared. She reminds me that the future is not mine alone to inherit. It is ours to build together, grounded in the roots that anchor us and the wings that lift us. Tradition does not mean immobility. It means holding hands with history while stepping forward with courage. It means listening to the voices of those who came before and responding with the voice of today's generation. I believe that family is the bridge that makes this possible. It allows us to draw strength from the past and inspiration for the future. Every ceremony, every gathering, every public commitment is more than a protocol. It is a reminder that we are part of a larger story. That story is written not only by kings and queens, but by every person who believes in something beyond themselves. It is a story animated by values that may seem quiet in a world of noise, but ring louder over time: loyalty, care, respect. Growing up, I witnessed the devotion with which my family performed their roles. I learned that honoring tradition is less about imitation and more about carrying forward the essence of respect and purpose. It is about creating a future that feels both rooted and renewed. We often speak of continuity as if it is a duty, but I see it as a gift. There is beauty in walking a path where the prints of those before us still linger, giving us direction. There is comfort in knowing that our actions today will one day guide others. There is strength in a legacy that asks not for perfection, but for sincerity, and this connection does not stop at the walls of family. It extends to every person in the land that we serve. Because, ultimately, tradition is not kept by crowns or palaces, but by people. It lives in the language we speak, in the values we defend, in the way we care for each other. I want to devote my life to this living tradition, not as a static thing, but as a continuity we build each day, often quietly, always with intention. I want to honor the past without being limited by it, to learn from it, draw wisdom from it, and then imagine something even greater. I believe that is the true role of those who inherit history, not to preserve it in amber, but to let it evolve, adapt, and remain meaningful for each new generation. The relationship between tradition and the future is not oppositional, it is symbiotic. One gives life to the other, one grounds, the other grows, and we, as part of this continuum, have the privilege and responsibility to be both guardians and creators. We hold hands tightly with those before us and reach out to those who will follow. I feel deeply that my path and my sister's path will be shaped not only by what is expected of us, but by what we choose to contribute from within. Our family may be a symbol, but we are human first, learning, growing, making mistakes, finding strength. And I believe that when people see us doing so with honesty and heart, the connection between tradition and people becomes real, not just symbolic or ceremonial. So as I look ahead, I carry with me more than titles or duties. I carry hearts intertwined, histories interlaced, and a deep gratitude for the roads paved before me. I carry the laughter of childhood alongside the promise of tomorrow. And I carry the unbroken bond of a family that has taught me one of the most important truths. Our future is only as strong as the roots we tend and the branches we dare to grow. That is the connection I honor within family, within culture, within the long and precious thread of tradition that holds us all together. There is something undeniably powerful in the energy of youth, in that moment when the world feels both wide open and within reach, when the questions we ask have the potential to reshape the answers of generations. Growing up in this moment, I feel deeply connected to a world in constant motion, a world connected by ideas, innovation, and a deep desire for justice and meaning. It is not just a privilege, but a responsibility to be part of this generation, one that refuses to accept the limits of the past without vision or conversation. Every day I meet young people who amaze me, not because of how much they know, but because of how much they care. They care about equality, about the planet, about dignity and fairness. They challenge systems, they dare to dream, and they bring light to places that have been forgotten for far too long. I am proud to stand among them, to represent a generation that balances respect for the past with the need to shape a future that reflects its values. I feel that modernity is not about forgetting what was before us, but about enhancing it. In a time where technology connects us in ways unimaginable even a decade ago, our role is not to resist change, but to guide it with conscience and awareness. For me, that means listening as much as speaking, learning as much as leading. It means embracing the incredible tools of our age, not for personal gain or distraction, but to amplify voices that have too long gone unheard. I often think of how the world my parents inherited is not the one I step into today, and the one I will pass down will be transformed yet again. That process of transformation is not accidental, it is a choice. Every action we take, every platform we use, every word we speak, has the power to either divide us further or bring us together. I know what I want my generation to choose: unity, purpose, and action. I am inspired by the courage of young people who speak out against injustice, who refuse to stay silent simply because something has always been that way. Indeed, that perspective, questioning, imagining, building, embodies what it means to balance youth with purpose. If we are to honor the sacrifices of the past, we must create systems that are worthy of the future. And real change almost always begins with young voices demanding to be heard. I hear them. I am one of them. Our generation does not see the world in black and white. We see its shades, its depth, and its complexity. We recognize that progress is not linear, but we remain determined to walk forward regardless. We seek not only to inherit the future, but to co-create it, and to do so with empathy, intelligence, and a respect for every identity and experience. What I love most about today's youth is the refusal to give up beauty and joy even in the face of difficulty. They dance, they code, they sing, they march, they write. They live their truth with boldness. That creativity is not a distraction, but a source of strength. Our modern world needs that boldness. It needs art as much as science, imagination as much as answers, and conversation as much as solutions. I often reflect on how important it is for systems, whether royal, governmental, or social, to evolve not just around youth, but with youth. We are not here to be quiet observers. We are here to be present, involved, and responsible. I envision a future where not only do young people have a seat at the table, but they are invited to speak, to contribute, to challenge, and to inspire. To truly engage with today's generation means more than offering opportunities. It means understanding their hopes and fears, their frustrations and dreams. It means setting aside hierarchy to make room for humanity. It means meeting one another as equals in purpose, no matter the differences in background or role. That, to me, is the essence of modern leadership, not power, but partnership. There is still so much work to be done. The issues we face are urgent: climate change, inequality, loneliness, lack of opportunity. But urgency does not have to mean despair. It can also mean determination. And what I see around me is determination like never before, led by young people with vision, with passion, with the knowledge that the time to act is not tomorrow, but today. I see my role, not only as someone who learns, but someone who can help connect generations. We need the wisdom of those who came before us, and the fire of those who are growing up around us. Between those forces lies the possibility of real and lasting change. Being a young person in a space shaped by tradition might seem like a contradiction, but in truth it is a gift. It means holding the past with one hand and reaching out to the future with the other. It means seeing tradition not as static, but as a living thing, one that evolves, one that learns, one that bends instead of breaks. So I stand here, not as someone who has all the answers, but as someone who believes deeply in our collective ability to find them, especially when we work side by side. I believe in the dreams of a child with a drawing in hand, in the resilience of a student finding their voice, in the potential of a leader who listens before they lead. The world is changing, yes, but never without us. We are its heartbeat, its rhythm, its hope. Let this be our promise, that we will meet the challenges of our time not with fear, but with a shared vision of a world that reflects our highest values: fairness, courage, creativity, and love. and let our actions today be the legacy tomorrow's youth will look back on with pride, knowing that we did not simply allow the world to happen to us, we shaped it together.